Well, hello, and welcome to the PGH Writing Command Center for another episode of the God Bless the Cake Publishing LLC podcast. Woo! Yes, indeed. Here we are. And we welcome you to this episode, a special holiday episode for Father's Day with some Father's Day remembrances. But first, before we get into that, we have to get our little Orphan Annie decoder pins out and carefully decipher a word from our sponsor. And this podcast is proudly sponsored by Corporate Facilities Group Incorporated, the leader in technical consulting, property, facility services, maintenance, repairs, and management throughout America. Check them out on www.corporatefacilitiesgroup1.com. www.corporatefacilitiesgroup1.com. CFG Incorporated for all your property and facility needs. And we thank the fine folks at CFG, Steve and Lydia, for sponsoring this podcast. Check them out. And yes. Thank you, CFG Incorporated. So we have a small crowd gathered here, and I'm going to go out on a limb and say Happy Father's Day. And the reason I say go out on a limb is because my own dad, the old man as he preferred to be called, was not a fan of Father's Day. And we lost Dad back in June of 2016 to Alzheimer's disease. And he had one of the best old man quotes of all his numerous quotes in reference to Father's Day. And I'll share that in a minute. But of all my characters, people ask me, which one is the closest to real life in the fictional characters? And I, as I mentioned in another podcast, I think all fiction writers lend upon real experiences and people they knew, family, friends, people they meet along the way for inspiration. And I'm going to say of all my characters, the character of the old man, and he did prefer to be called the old man. My sister would always call him Dad or Daddy, but that's Daddy's little girl, so she could get away with it. And he preferred the old man, but the character of the old man probably is pretty close to my actual dad. And he had a million sayings, just this street smart guy from Paterson, New Jersey. He was a machinist. Went to vocational school, the old Paterson Technical and Vocational. It was in downtown Paterson, and then it moved later on up to a beautiful campus in Wayne, New Jersey, outside of Paterson. And we actually have generations of our family that attended my dad. My brother-in-law, Tony, went there. My son went there, and I attended night school there for many, many years after I graduated another regional school, grade school, Paterson. Was Paterson Technical. Now it's Passaic County Technical Institute, and just a wonderful, wonderful school. And there's a couple other family members and friends that went there. So my dad learned machine shop there. He was a machinist and hardworking, and I can go on and on of all the things he taught me and all the battles we fought with the cars and boilers and plumbing and carpentry and fixing foundations and fixing roof leaks and all the things he taught me, which priceless, absolutely priceless. A very skilled guy. As I mentioned in some of the other podcasts, how he was the best backyard mechanic in all of Haledon and Paterson, New Jersey. He fixed that family car every weekend. Fixed friends' cars. My Uncle Ed always had junk cars too. So Uncle Ed would bring his car over on the weekend, and my old man and we'd team up and fix it, keep it going. So none of us had a lot of dough back then. But my dad did the best he could. And I can talk about him getting up and going to work for close to 50 years at 5 o'clock in the morning and through snowstorms and rainstorms and head colds and having surgery operations and still trying to go to work afterwards, not take too much time off. It's endless. the endless battles that a father does for his family and all the things he taught me, all the experiences. But two incidents stick in my mind above all. But first, I'll share his quote. His quote for Father's Day was, "They mistreat the old man 364 days a year and try to be nice to him one day." So he just wasn't a fan of Father's Day. And now that I've gotten older and gone through some life experiences myself, and I'm a father too, I kind of understand what the old man was talking about. But Dad, forgive me, I'm going to say Happy Father's Day to all the fathers out there who get it done every day and do the things they have to do. And the old man was like, Mother's Day is great. Mother's Day, we should always honor Mother's Day. But Father's Day, I got no use for it. But I'd give him a card anyway. My sister and I give him a card and buy him a 6-pack of beer or something. And he'd watch a Yankee game and he'd be happy. But he wasn't a big guy for the tweener holidays, be them whatever, Valentine's Day, Father's Day. He was more of a mainstream guy. He didn't like New Year's either. He wasn't a big New Year's Day guy. Christmas was probably his favorite holiday, and I portray that in the books with his Christmas adventures. And 4th of July, the old man loved 4th of July. And on the 4th of July holiday, we'll tell one of the most famous old man stories of all time. But looking back on the two adventures and two experiences and lessons that my father taught me, these two stick in my mind because they really did shape me. And yeah, he had all these endless sayings, like I said, like I've shared in my book Experiences. I have a whole essay dedicated to the best of the old man, of just his streetwise Paterson, New Jersey sayings that were brilliant. All the actors aren't in Hollywood. I just said that the other day. And they come up all the time in my conversation. But these two experiences, my father was a huge baseball fan, New York Yankees. He played a lot of ball when he was young, and Phillies were sniffing around him when he played in some semi-pro circles in Paterson beer leagues. He was a third baseman and a center fielder, had great speed on the base pass, and he could hit, switch hit. And he could hit with a little bit of power, and he would pop a few homers here and there. Hit one out of Nash Park in Clifton, and right out of the ballpark, and bounced in the street there. He loved baseball. Didn't miss Yankee games. When he was working, he couldn't stay up late for the West Coast games, but when he retired, he'd stay up and watch every single Yankee game of the year. And he shared that love of baseball, of all sports, to me. I could have done without the old man teaching me to be a Jets fan, a New York Jets fan. For that one, I forgive you, Dad. The old man used to say, here's a saying, there's not enough beer in the world to be a New York Jets fan. How about that? But yeah, he was a huge Jets fan. And that's one of the memories that I really suffer with during football, because we would talk before and after every single New York Jets game. We'd call each other up. And if the Jets scored a touchdown, he would ring my phone twice and then hang up. So when the Jets score these days and that phone doesn't ring, it's a little painful. But to get back to baseball, I played a lot of ball. I played PAL, Police Athletic League, and I played all the way up to American Legion. We had good ball teams. We won championships in Halden. And I played center field. I was a great center fielder. No doubt I was a great fielder. Catch anything close. I was a so-so hitter. Like a lot of hitters, the curveball was the great equalizer. And I was a switch hitter like my dad, and I had a little power when I was lefty. I was a natural righty, but a little pop lefty. Good on the base pass, good speed, but my true love was hockey. And I think that hurt the old man. He was like, you're a great ball player. You got a chance. You got to do this. You got to stick with it. And I preferred hockey. And I was always getting beat up and getting hurt and getting stitched up being a goalie. And the old man would, he worked a deal with Dr. Harami, the neighborhood physician, to put stitches in and take them out at a discounted rate. Because I was always getting hurt and sewn up. And he was like, this sport's just beating the heck out of you, Paulie. You should stick to baseball. You stick to baseball. But no, I loved hockey, and you know, I had a little hurt in my heart because I didn't think that my father supported me. He didn't come to my games, even when I started to progress into the more advanced hockey leagues, and that put a little pain in my heart that he was always pushing baseball. And this one hockey game is where this one experience comes from, and this one lesson comes from. And in looking back, the three of us, my boyhood buddies, Jeff, Harry, and myself, all of our fathers taught us these very, very valuable lessons. Aside from tools and fixing things, they passed along so much knowledge. We were so lucky to have the fathers that we had because they were the salt of the earth. None of us made a lot of money. They were all working guys, but they taught you about commitment. They taught you about dedication. They taught you about going to work, doing the right thing, staying out of trouble, keeping your head screwed on straight. And believe me, in our neighborhood, there was a lot of trouble. And then I look at my cousin David, my Uncle Dave, another great man. My Uncle Ed, my dad's kid brother, another great man. They just were the salt of the earth. And my Uncle Dave was a huge hockey fan. And I remember him coming to my games on Saturday night. He lived right down the street, Totowa, Ice World, Totowa, New Jersey. But this one particular Saturday night, I was playing my usual game, pretty high league, a little semi-pro league, $17 a game prize money. And they'd all chip in, the team would chip in and give you a case of beer if I got a shutout as a goalie. But it's at Totowa Ice World, and this is very shortly after my best buddy Harry suffered this terrible, terrible injury. We were playing, and Harry took a puck to the mouth. Literally, he plays defense. Harry's in front of me on defense. He takes this rising puck to his mouth and destroys all of his teeth are gone, except for a few on the bottom, breaks his jaw, shatters his nose, pulverizes his cheekbones. He was literally in the hospital for 3 weeks. I went and visited him 2 days after he had these plastic surgeries and operations, and he looked like Frankenstein, for lack of a better word, just swollen up, just catastrophic. And as a goaltender, that affected me. It really affected me, not only for my best friend's health and fearing that he could have been killed. He literally could have been killed. But as a goalie, the worst thing you can have is to be puck shy. You got to put your fear aside. And we didn't have the equipment they have now. We had the old fiberglass masks, and the impact is on your face. Still knock you out and cut you. It might prevent you from dying, but you're still going to get hurt with a rising, puck that hits you dead on in the mask. So I had a little fear in my heart. It was something, I guess, that was natural. I'm thinking about this injury. And there's an unwritten rule when you warm up your goalie on your own team. You don't try to shoot up high at his head, and you don't shoot at his groin. You warm him up gentle, get him into the game, get the muscles loose, get it going. And this Saturday night, my team is warming me up, and I'm the starting goalie. And one of our players had a pretty good hard slap shot, and he got a little bit too much air, and he curled his wrists, and he took this pretty wicked slap shot up, and it danced up, coming right at my head. And I ducked out of it and just let it hit the glass in back of me. I didn't try to glove it. And for some reason, I snapped. I just snapped, and I skated out in the net, and I was just berating this guy, my own teammate, for shooting at my head. What are you doing? My best buddy Harry's almost dead. Why are you shooting at my head? And I'm just, usually a really calm, even tempered guy, and I lost my marbles. And my teammates are like, okay, Paulie, it's just an accident. He didn't mean it. Just calm down. Let's get back in the net. We got a game to play, bum, bum, bum. And I calmed down. I skated back to the net. And when I turned around, there's this man beating on the glass at back of the net. And I realized it's my old man. It's my dad. And he's pointing at the net. He's trying to tell me through the glass, get back in the net. Get back in the net. Take your warm-ups. And he stood in back of that goal the whole game. When we switched ends like we do in hockey and soccer, you switch ends between periods. And he moved over and stood in back of the net. And I tried to make believe he wasn't there, which was impossible to do. But when I would play the puck or turn around, there he was, just intently studying every aspect of this game. He was intense. And as my memory goes, and this is in Geyer Street Gardens, I stole this for Geyer Street Gardens, modified it a little bit, novel I wrote about hockey and my experience as a goaltender. And if my memory serves me correct, we won. We won 3-2. And I made pretty good saves, had a pretty good game. It was a pretty good team. And I remember after the on-ice celebration at the end of the final whistle, I turned around and my dad was gone. But I caught a glimpse of him leaving with the crowd going out of the hockey rink. So I was like, okay, well, he's not going to wait around. So I went in the locker room, we celebrated, took a shower, changed into my civilian clothes. And we had a little place down the road there in Totowa that we would gather and have a couple beers after the game. It was called Rosie's. And it was a hotel, like a cocktail lounge. It had an old neon sign, Rosie's. It was really cool. And we would have a couple beers, the team hang out and shoot the breeze, talk about the game. And I get my Jeep and ride home. And by now it's, I don't know, it might be 1 o'clock in the morning or something. And I get in and my old man's sitting in a chair, easy chair in the living room. And he looks at me and he says, I enjoyed that. He said, you're a pretty good goaltender. He says, I could tell you got a lot of skill. You got a lot of courage. That's a tough game to play in a tough position. He said, I like how you use your catching glove. It's like a first baseman. I said, yeah, very similar, Dad. He said, yeah, you got a lot of talent. I really enjoyed that. And thank you. And I said, well, thank you, Dad. I appreciate you showing up. And then he said, sit down. So when he asked me to sit down, I knew he wanted to tell me something or teach me something. And he said, let me ask you this. In the warm-up, you kind of went nuts. He said, that surprised me. I never see you react like that. The guy shot the puck. He said, I don't think he meant to, but he shot it at your head. And I told him, yeah, there's an unwritten rule. And I told him, you don't shoot at the head. You don't shoot at the groin. You warm up slow. And I'm a little shook up about the Harry thing. And I don't want to become puck shy because a puck shy goalie is a bad goalie. And my father's like, I can relate to that. He said, it's like chin music in baseball. The pitcher throws a fastball right underneath your whiskers, backs you up from the plate. And then the next pitch is a big old curveball that breaks off the end of the table and he's got you bailing and he strikes you out. I said, yeah, exactly that. Same thing. He said, I get it. He said, but I'm going to ask you this, Paulie. The other team, they probably know about Harry getting hurt. They probably saw you acting like a jerk in the warm-ups. Don't you think they're going to shoot at your head? I saw a couple slap shots come up real high near your head and you gloved them. Or you let them go over the net and smash into the glass and you didn't lose your marbles. Wouldn't you want to get it over with right away during the warm-up instead of acting like a prima donna and screaming and yelling at your own teammate? He said, that was Bush League. He said, I was not happy with that. I wasn't proud of your behavior. And I said, yeah, Dad, you're right. You're 100% right. He said, it's not a cupcake sport. These guys are going to do anything they can to score on you. He said, you got to make a decision, Paulie. If this puck thing bothers you, then maybe it's not the sport for you. If the thing with Harry stuck in your mind, then maybe it's not what you should be doing. because you're going to get hurt. So you have to decide, are you going to make a commitment or are you going to make a contribution? Because your team's counting on you. You're the goalie. And I said, yeah, I guess. He said, bacon and eggs breakfast, Paulie. The hen makes a contribution. The chicken makes a contribution. Eggs. But the pig, he made a commitment. So you've got to decide in life, no matter if it's goaltending or being an electrician or being an accountant or a lawyer or a truck driver, whatever you do decide to do in your life, or be an NHL goaltender, you got to decide. You got to be a guy who makes a commitment, or you just got to go through life and make a contribution. And that stuck in my mind. That was a profound lesson. And whatever I did in life and do in life, I always try to make a commitment and stay away from just making a contribution. And I played hockey for a long time afterwards, and injuries finally got me. And I have to think that in another world, I'd have been starting for the Philadelphia Flyers, but it didn't happen. But those lessons and playing goal taught me so much about life. And the second lesson I'd like to share for Father's Day is another one that shaped me. And as I mentioned, I graduated vocational school and then went to tech school later on. But my apprenticeship and training as in the regional school was in electronics and electrical. And I worked my way through this apprenticeship at this company, Glenrock Electrical Appliance, and could go on. And this is in my book, Experiences. A lot of this is nonfiction about the great mentors I had, great teachers. The owners of that shop taught me so much. But it was really my dad that woke me up. Because on the night of my graduation, Harry, Jeff, and I, we all went to the same school. We were partying and having a great time after graduation, probably drinking underage beer and chasing young ladies around and just letting loose, because the next day, 2 days after, whatever, we got to go to work. We're in the real world now, man. And when I came home from partying, my dad wasn't up and came home from a celebration. But on my pillow in my bedroom was a note. And I could tell it was my old man's handwriting. So I picked the paper up, and I might be a little bleary-eyed or half in a bag, and I read it. And I have notes here that I remember. I have that note somewhere. But it said, as of tomorrow, you owe me and your mother $15 per week for room and board, $15 per week for food, $5 per week for laundry, $5 per week to park your Jeep in my driveway. If you don't want to pay $5, then just park it on the street. $15 per week for your share of the utilities. $5 per week for the maintenance and upkeep of the house. Feel free, as your time allows, to jump in and cut the grass or trim the shrubs, shovel snow, or do any other household duties, and I'll waive the $5 per week. Welcome to the real world. Paulie, you will learn that there are no free rides in life. Your mother and I have supported you for 18 years, and now you need to understand that the free ride is over. Pay your bills, go to work, love and play and work hard. Be honest and respectful, and always tell it as it is. If you do not agree with these arrangements and fees, then simply pack up and move out. Maybe you want to bunk in with Harry and Jeff. Maybe you guys all live together. We'll love you, we'll miss you, but that's just the way it is. Great work on learning a valuable trade. It will always serve you well. You've earned a lot, but you haven't earned all of it yet. No one owes you anything in life. You're gonna have to work for it. Never forget where you came from and who you have become. And the old man signed it. I still, like I said, have that note somewhere. And it was a wake-up call. Yeah, okay, tomorrow I go to work. There is no more school. I graduated. It's welcome to the real world. So those two lessons, even more so than teaching me to swing tools or fix cars or change water pumps or all the other millions of sayings and things. I thank thee, old man, for that. Thank you, Dad. Because those were lessons that live in my heart to this day. So for that, I'm going to say Happy Father's Day. And on the side here, as a toast, he drank a particular light beer that's not my favorite. But because it's the old man and it is Father's Day, I'm going to say, okay, here you go, Dad. Happy Father's Day. And took a sip of that, and it is, I'm glad he loved it. At any rate, thank you for tuning in. Be sure to remember fathers and all the things that they've done and do and continue to contribute in our lives. And really appreciate your support. Gotten a lot of great fan mail and a lot of emails and feedback, and really enjoy doing this. And we're going to continue to do it for a little while. So, hey, be kind, be respectful, be tolerant. Kindness is cheap. Kindness is free. Be sure to share it whenever you can. And hey, what do I know? I'm just a guy from Paterson, New Jersey. But thanks for tuning in, and we'll see you next time. Bye-bye now. All right, you guys can leave. That's it. It's over. See ya.